podcast.
All right,
That's
so
cool.
we're starting off with sirens because even the police are excited that
Yes.
Nerd Coover is back on the air and that Jenna is back.
I'm here this week, but Nathan is not.
Where is Nathan? Find him. Rescue him. We don't know.
Apparently he was driving around.
Maybe the sirens are for him.
Well, I hope not. That would be horrible.
Take care, Nathan. Just want you to be okay.
I can't find this. Why does the Google Hangout thing never actually show up?
I don't know.
Hello.
And of course, our tech monkey is not here because he's building our website.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, we're getting a website. It's super secret, and I'm not allowed to talk about it.
Oh, really? Well, good thing you talked about it on live.
Don't tell
podcasting.
anybody. You can keep a secret, right, Internet?
Yes.
That's what the Internet does.
Oh, yeah. When you
Keep
post on
secrets.
the internet, nothing,
Yeah.
it never goes anywhere.
No, of course not.
It just disappears into the web.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly can't find this. We are broadcasting, right?
Oh, yeah. No. We're live. It says so in the small little live corner at the top of the screen.
I need to find us. Where are we? Oh, live now. Okay.
Cool.
So how do we do this? It's not showing me that we're live, though.
Yeah.
God damn it. I don't like this new fangled YouTuber thingy.
Go back to wherever we were. Yeah, where it says live. Click on that.
I did.
Not live now.
Oh.
Just the thing. The Nerd Coover.
This
Oh.
brings me to the main page, and then
Alright.
there's no link to it.
All right.
This is uploaded or uploads.
Yeah, it won't be there.
Current playlist.
Go back to thing.
To the thing?
Yeah.
To the thing. I'm really hungry, guys. I just suddenly got very hungry. Active 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
We're live. We just can't find us. That's cool.
Which means we can't, if you're out there and you're watching us, we can't answer your questions. And that's why we're so desperate to figure this out.
I know.
And normally it's Nate that's got this down pat. Like between the two of us, we can actually get a broadcast going.
We can get it going. We just can't find it. Just can't find it. Is there like a tag that I can search?
I have no idea. Well, there's all sorts of tags that I put on this. So like comics, comic reviews, you know, the standard.
But if I can't find us, can anyone else find us? That's the question. Someone send me a link.
If you're out there.
Tweet it to me or something. At Nova Vanderwolf, tweet me a link to our own podcast.
So that we can answer your questions.
Well, this is silly.
To be fair, so are we.
Yeah. There's got to be like... Okay, maybe if I log out and like actually log in under Nerdkeeper, but then will that kick us out of this one?
No.
No? Are you
I don't
sure?
think so.
Okay, well, we're going to try it.
We're going to find out.
Sign in. If we disappear, it's my fault.
All right. It's not your fault. We're trying to figure this out.
Okay, here we go. So, my channel.
No, we're still online.
Okay, here we go. Live now. Why didn't it show up on my other account? That's
Neat.
cool.
We're live. It's us.
Woohoo!
It's us doing a thing.
I'll just mute that. Okay, so
Yeah,
now.
we're just going to get like really weird reverb and it's not cool.
All right. That's cool. So.
Hey, we're here.
We are. Okay, we're ready to go.
Victory. We can do the thing.
Let me just quickly share the link, though, because if I couldn't find it, yeah, I don't know how easy it is for anyone else to find it.
Throw it up on Facebook.
Le Facebook?
The Facebook.
The book of face?
Yes. We're live, yo.
Cuba. We're live.
Come join us.
Come join us and chat, because we like chatting. All right, we are live. And woo. Publish. Woo. Okay. Sweet.
All right. You ready?
We got 2 people watching us. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
All right.
Let's get started.
Well, you were gone last week, but there was a comic that came out that I was going to talk about and then decided no, I'm going to wait.
Because, well, actually, Nathan reads his stuff too.
Yeah.
So we
all read James Tynion for. James Tynion. I am terrible, James. I am so sorry that I keep mispronouncing your name. It's awful, and I'm a bad person, and because you are an incredible writer, and I'm kind of a massive fan. But
Backstagers.
Yeah.
#1 came out, and it was awesome.
No argument.
So Backstagers is about a shy kid who's going to an all-boys school, and he is forced to do an after-school club by his mother, and he wants to
not be noticed.
Yeah. So, but then he decides to go into a drama club.
Yep. Not
yeah.
But not the proper drama club. The people that handle all the backstage stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Backstagers.
Yes. Well, he went to the drama club wanting to join it, but then he got told to go find a prop, and that was backstage.
Yeah.
And then he meets the rest of the backstagers, and weird things start to happen.
To put it mildly.
Yes. Okay, so apparently we're echoing.
Oh, neat.
Let me just wanting to join it, but then he got okay. It might have been because I had the volume up on this computer,
and we're
and then it was recording here.
Yeah, we're broadcasting. I've got a media center, and we're broadcasting from that, and then we've got Jenna's laptop for recording.
Apparently, it's good now. So cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Sweet. So
victory.
We solved it. We're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, Backstagers, James Tynion, the 4th, awesome book. Art's really kind of like I want to say it's kind of like Steven Universe, and like there's another comic it reminds me of.
Scott
Pilgrim-esque, yeah. It's a very specific style.
Mm-hmm.
That it's not usually one that, oh my god, that's James Tynion right there.
Yep.
Ah! I just got that. He drew himself. Well, I guess he did draw himself, but he's drawn into the comic. That's funny. Yeah, it's not my particular type of style, but I really liked the story of it.
It's a style that works specifically for certain kinds of stories, and this is one of them.
Yeah.
Because it is okay. So what happens with the weird stuff is, for whatever reason, there is a door backstage that leads to other random dimensions, and all of the backstage club kids know about it, and no one else in the school does. So it's their secret, and they end up dealing with all kinds of weird. And it's not like all like, oh god, it's all bad weird. It's just weird. So, and it's fun. It's just a really, really fun book, but it is James Tynion. And I don't know why
because it's spelled like it should be Tynion.
Yeah, no, I keep thinking like it's going to be in Valerian or something.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, so it's just a really, really creative, really, really fun book. And yeah, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. And it's a lighter version of The Woods.
Yeah.
So far, or ufology, where it's this really, really creative world.
Yeah, that's the thing with like other books that he's written. They're usually a lot darker, whereas this one's a lot more fun, campy.
Yeah. Silly, but no less good. Like the quality of writing is still there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And segueing into stuff that came out this week.
Yes.
But is also an older comic. Joyride #1 came out in a 3rd printing. And
it's awesome.
Yes, it is. I really love this cover, so I got it. Yes.
It's a really cute cover.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. We should show it to people.
Well, I did. But the people who are listening, sorry, podcast people, they can't see it.
Yeah.
But you can Google it. If you Google Joyride #1.
Who did the cover?
It's on the inside. I don't remember her name. Let me check. Oops, I probably shouldn't throw that on Archie. Third printing is Emily Choi.
Cool.
Yeah.
She did an awesome job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then the comic, like Jackson Lenzik and Colin Kelly are two of my favorite. Sorry, I need to also throw Marcus Toe in there, because the three of them, pretty much anything that they work on at this point, I will read.
Me too.
Just based off of Hacktivist.
Yeah.
Hacktivist is one of my favorite comics, period.
Mm-hmm.
It's an incredible story. So when I heard that they were doing something else, I was like, I must read the thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's fantastic. It's a sci-fi story. People, you describe it. I'm sorry, I talk too much.
That's okay. I did a lot of the talking for Backstagers, but it's basically a sci-fi adventure of 3 human kids who are living on Earth, but it's not Earth as we know it. It's Earth that has been covered by a dome, so they can't see the stars in the universe. And our main character, Uma, decides she's going to kind of like escape into space, and she arranges for a spaceship to pick her up. And then they were going to be sold into slavery, but they managed to get out of that, and they stole the spaceship. So now they're joyriding through space on a stolen spaceship with her best friend. They call him D, but it's like it was Dudney,
something like that.
So that's his real name.
Yeah.
And then the poor unfortunate space guard that got caught in the middle.
Who wants to arrest them and throw them in prison forever.
Yeah, so she's not too happy that she got basically kidnapped.
Yeah.
And is now...
At the same time, if you're working for like an evil totalitarian regime and you've totally bought into that line and you're not used to thinking for yourself, you could probably use some traveling to open your eyes a bit.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. She's very much the opposite of Uma, which makes for interesting storytelling. So
it's good characterization all around. It's really fun.
Yeah. So that's Joyride. And also out this week was Archie number 11, I think. Yeah. Are you up to date with this? Or?
I am not, actually. No? I haven't read that issue yet.
Okay. Well, avoiding spoilers, it's basically Betty versus Veronica in a musical version. So it reminded me a lot of Gem, because it was just like Gem and then the Misfits.
Yeah.
But so they basically, Veronica is with Archie and Jughead.
Jughead does not want to be there.
Yeah, and then Betty is joined with like Moose and
Midge.
I think Midge, yeah. And no, it's not Midge, but anyway, so they face off in this musical contest, and then you've got people that are just like Team Betty, Team Veronica in the crowd, and like no one actually cares about the music; they're just cheering for their favorite girl. And yeah, it's really fun. And the ending of it, though, I was just like, it makes me so angry that Betty and Archie aren't together. Because they're meant to be. I'm sorry for anyone who's Team Veronica, but
this
Betty
iteration
is way better.
This iteration is, very much.
Mm-hmm. Like, the ending actually had me, like, almost crying. Because it's so sweet, and it's just, so good. So good.
These comics are fantastic. If the new Riverdale series that they're doing, it draws on this. Mm-hmm. Like you could literally just use this as shot by shot. This is what you should be putting together.
Yeah.
I would watch this.
For sure. I'm just gonna watch you like reading the ending because it's just.
Oh my god.
I know.
Oh my god.
Isn't that just like the best?
Yeah.
Ugh, I love Betty and Archie together.
I love them so much. And they did such a good job with this relaunch, these characters. I really love what they've been doing with the Jughead book as well.
The Jughead one?
But it's meandering right now.
Yeah. They've switched the creative team, I think.
Oh.
So the next issue to come out, I think, is a different writer and different artist.
There's certain comics that I think benefit from having like a definite beginning, middle, and end because it keeps you from having filler issues.
Yeah.
And Jughead definitely was one of those because you started on such a high point with Jughead versus the administration. And then after he won that, it's like, okay, well, what next?
Yeah.
And that's what the comic felt like. Archie doesn't feel like that because the entire thing is the ongoing saga of Archie, Betty, and Veronica, which should never end. And
I want it to, with a happy ending for Betty.
We all want it to, but the minute that you even have that moment, the story's over.
Yeah,
like
it is.
So you need that to continue going, and to be honest, it should. So yeah, but awesome. Yeah, right there with you. Betty is so much. Yeah. Be over here. Betty love.
Betty. Okay. The other two comics that I need to talk about this week are Lake of Fire #1.
Okay, cool. What are it?
Lake of Fire is a new comic from Image by Nathan Fairburn and Matt Smith.
Cool.
And it's kind of interesting. The first issue, there's a lot of setup. There's not a lot happening in it until towards the end. But it starts off with like this spaceship crashing, and then
like when?
It's during like the Crusades.
Cool.
So you've got knights and like peasants from the medieval era fighting aliens.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it was pretty interesting. It's definitely an interesting and unique concept. Because I haven't seen it done before, and
I actually have.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's a movie called High Crusade that was like one alien manages to survive the landing and like lands in England, and the English Crusaders think that it's the Saracens attacking them. So they slaughter what's left, and then like they take it over and steal all the weapons, but they're idiots. So you get things like they grab a laser rifle, and one of them is like, "My lord, I think this mystical sorcerer weapon is much superior to our crossbows." And the king is like, "Well, I'll tell you, I'll make you a wager. I'll bet you that I can hit that rabbit with my crossbow, and you try to hit the rabbit beside it with your weird sorcerer thing." And they both shoot, and they hit their respective rabbits, and they walk over, and the Lord goes, "Well, we can't actually tell if you hit your rabbit, can you?
Because it's
but we can sup on mine. Clearly, the crossbow is superior." And they're just like,
for hunting, maybe.
Well, no, they just toss it aside, and it's a very bad movie with some very good scenes.
Cool. But
if you can hunt it down, it's worth watching.
It's got High Crusades.
Yeah.
I'll have to see if I can find it.
Yeah. The aliens all speak with Scottish accents.
Oh my god. That's perfect. So basically it's just an analogy for the Scots taking over? Or?
I don't know. Because they lose. The aliens. They end up back on like an alien homeworld.
Poor Scottish aliens.
The aliens come to the conclusion they can't actually like fight these idiots. So they lock themselves up in a tower. And you get the Crusaders try using explosive barrels and battering rams and all kinds of things to get in. And then the king is like, well, what, like his knights approach him. They're like, well, what do we do? Like, how do we get into this place? He goes, I have an idea. And he walks up to like the alien tower door and he knocks on it and he goes, attention! If you do not come out by the count of 3, I will declare this a victory. 1, 2, 3. Nothing happens. He turns to all of his men and just goes, we won. And they just walk away.
What?
just an awful film. It's fantastic.
Interesting.
That looks much more better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's a lot better.
Yeah, this sounds like that looks like it has a plot and, you know, characters, and might actually do something interesting with the concept.
Mm-hmm.
So I might hunt that down.
I mean, I don't think the aliens have weapons, because the ones that we've seen so far are just kind of like creatures that just eat things. Yeah, so I think it's going to be interesting to see how the Knights do with just like their swords and crossbows, because I mean, like alien movies, it was always just like, oh, let's just shoot them and like blow them up with bombs or whatever.
Yeah.
But they clearly don't have them in this era, so I think it'll be an interesting read.
Yeah.
It was a good debut issue, so
okay.
Yeah. And for Vancouver locals, Nathan Fairburn is going to be signing at Big Pete's Collectibles on Saturday, 1 to 4. So you should come and pick it up, and you guys should come and pick it up.
I know where I'll be on Saturday.
Me too.
Yeah.
I might be working. I don't know. Maybe not. We'll see. And then the last one I'm going to talk about is A Snot Girl, #2, by Brian Lee O'Malley, who did Scott Pilgrim. And Leslie Hung is the artist. But Snot Girl was one that Pete was really excited about when we were doing the orders. And he's just like, you need to cosplay Snot Girl. I was like, no, like this book sounds so stupid. Because there was like no information about it whatsoever, other than that the main character was, you know, like this fashionista person who had snot coming out of her nose a lot. I know, it's just like, that doesn't sound interesting, but it's actually really good. Like, I was really surprised by it.
The art looks pretty decent.
Yeah, the art's really cute. So it's very much a I don't want to say making fun of millennials, but it's very much a kind of like taking the worst of this, you know, era and throwing it into a comic. And our main character, Lottie, she runs a blog, and it's a fashion blog, and she's all about, you know, maintaining her era of coolness, but then dealing with, like, when she gets really emotional, she gets like really snotty. And then she meets in issue 1, she meets someone that she dubs as Cool Girl, and things happen with Cool Girl, and Cool Girl might have accidentally died.
What?
And Lottie might have been the accidental cause of it. So issue 2 is basically her freaking out, being like, oh my god, I killed someone, what do I do? I'm not going to leave my house for 9 days. I'm going to just like hide from the police. I'm not going to turn on my phone because then they can track me. And she's just like completely freaking out. But at the same time, it's just like living life kind of normally. It's just like a very bizarre reaction. And then she also has an ex-boyfriend that she's completely in love with still, who is now dating her ex-intern, who is kind of becoming Lottie.
Interesting.
So there's a lot going on in this comic.
Okay, yeah. Brian Lee O'Malley, like, your initial description immediately turned me off.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, when I was ordering it, I'm just like, I don't want to read this. Like, it sounds so stupid.
And I'm really, really done with people making fun of millennials. Like, cultures develop as reactions to the environment that they're in, right? Yeah. And the millennial culture is definitely a reaction to the bullshit that millennials have to put up with.
Oh, yeah, completely.
So I'm very much on their side in that struggle, because it is a struggle, and I totally get that. But the same could be said to a lesser extent for Gen Xers. And Scott Pilgrim, the Scott Pilgrim books were very much, let's take a look at the very worst of Gen X culture. Yeah. And they were fantastic. Because it's okay to point out the failings of a thing, I think.
Yeah,
and
I feel like that's kind of what Snot Girl's doing. It's like, it's not making fun of like the stuff that we have. Well, not we, like, I don't know. Am I a millennial?
We're both millennials.
Okay, well, it's not like making fun of us as people, but it's just kind of like like the stereotypes, like, oh, millennials are just like shallow bloggers that, are just like lazy and stuff. It's just like, that's not what we are.
No.
So it's a very interesting take on like society nowadays, I guess. And but like there's a lot of depth to the characters. So
Brian O'Malley's really, really good at drawing out the truth of a generation, I think. It's like a Douglas Copeland comic book form, if that makes sense. So
yeah. And one thing that I found really interesting,
like totally a struggle. Like, oh my god, it like totally is. Because like, well, do we really want to go into that? Because I can talk about this for a long time. But
let's not.
Yeah, we won't go. We're here to talk comics, not politics.
Yes.
So let's talk about a political comic.
No. This one, yes. One thing that I did find really interesting with this is that so basically Lottie's kind of like the hip and hopping like blogger that everyone kind of looks up to. But then her two friends are just like, oh, did you hear about this new girl? And it turns out to be like Cool Girl, who Lottie thinks is dead. And they're just like, oh yeah, like she's the new person to watch out for. And I just find it kind of interesting how easy like fame comes and goes. Yeah. Like basically they're just like
15 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. That's what Lottie's kind of having to deal with. It's just like, so this new cool girl's coming into town and suddenly she's like the new big thing, and Lottie thinks that she killed her. So that's kind of like one thing. But like, if Cool Girl was so popular like already and then she was dead, just like what Cool Girl had like dethroned Lottie, right? Yeah. So I found that kind of interesting too. And now she's kind of dealing with everyone having their eyes on this Cool Girl, and then she hasn't posted in a week, so it's just like, when are people going to find out that she's dead, right? So yeah. I don't know. I really like it. It's kind of hard to explain because there is a lot going on in it, but I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to read it because that sounds far better than. Yeah, I'm just now very curious.
It's good.
Yeah. Also good. And is that Image now?
Yeah, it's Image. Yes, Image comic.
So I'm gonna continue on with. Actually, no, I think this is a Boom title. Yeah, Sombra is a Boom.
It is. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go and talk about Sombra. And Sombra is a very political, dark book, also dealing with modern era stuff. In this case, the drug cartels, and specifically how they were created by the war on drugs and exactly how they function and how they work. So way back when, there was a war on drugs that was declared, and it did not stop drugs. It just made the problem worse.
It's kind of like prohibition, where
it's exactly prohibition.
It didn't work. It just made it more dangerous to acquire alcohol. And stuff, so.
And well, it's resulted in the destruction of many innocent lives. So like they introduce a farmer character in this one, for example, who used to raise corn, and then the cartels approached him and were like, okay, well, you're out in the middle of nowhere and you've got nothing, so if you dedicate like a certain amount of your crops to growing marijuana, just pot, just marijuana, we'll set up a school nearby, we'll put in like a cell tower, we'll get you internet, we'll get you clean running water. And he's like, yeah, the government's not helping me on this, so if you guys want to give me a hand. And he's never had a problem with the cartels, ever. But the DEA comes in, government comes in, burns down all of his crops, the corn and the marijuana. They basically salted the earth and destroy everything. So you create situations of poverty, and then you reinforce situations of poverty, and then you wonder why people turn to crime. Interestingly, this comic is very honest about that. But it's also told from the perspective of a DEA agent who is looking for her father, who was also a DEA agent, who was deep cover and went native.
Okay.
So he has become the worst of the cartels, like the head of the absolute worst of the cartels, and she's looking for him.
Yeah.
And they've been estranged forever, and she's bumped into a reporter who's been hunting him down, and the two of them are nearly killed. They manage to escape, and then they go to a place where they're pretty sure her father has been. And it's horrifying what is happening in this comic. It's fantastically written. It's, again, like beautiful artwork, but it's the story, and specifically how the artwork echoes the story. Like you've got such a build for the father. This is the second issue of a 4-issue series, so you've got such a build on the father showing up.
Yeah.
And at the end of this issue, he does, but we get nothing of him. We haven't seen anything of this guy, so we get like shots from his perspective and people reacting to him, and it's so beautifully done. It ratchets up such a level of tension. And I cannot wait for issue 3. Just an incredibly well done comic. I just want to talk about Clean Room.
Okay.
Because Gail Simone. I really, really love Gail Simone, and she's basically doing the best Lovecraftian comic I've ever read that doesn't involve Cthulhu. Have you read any?
I have not read Clean Room.
Okay, it's horrifying.
Okay.
Like it's some of the most terrifying comics I've ever read, and
You've read a lot of comics. Too.
I really have. I really like horror comics. Fall of Cthulhu, Coffin Hill. If I'm going to go like Hellstorm, Providence, Injection. But this is something else entirely. So this is about a woman who died and came back and can sort of see through the cracks of reality.
Okay.
So our existence is the result of a completely different level of existence that's sort of influencing ours without us being aware of it. But she can now see those entities.
Okay.
And because of that, she can see the influence and the waves of energy that are actually affecting us. And some of those entities are aware of us, and some of them are not. But all of them are horrifying because they are. I was talking about this with Nathan last week, but it's the idea of without sanity. They're not insane because their understanding of reality puts them so far above any concept of sanity that we could understand that the concept itself becomes meaningless. And so she's put together a foundation, and she's actually trying to fight back against them, which, I mean, it's absurd.
Yeah.
It's like if an ant discovered a way to communicate with us and decided that it was going to fight us.
Hey, Ant-Man's pretty strong.
Ant-Man is awesome. Both the comics and the movie were great. And his Civil War too, his Captain America Civil War stuff was incredible.
Yeah.
But those entities also have humans that they influence directly, and so you've got like, and it's of course the oligarchy, because of course it is, because the 1% is evil, and they've set up like an assassination ploy against her, and instead of her being the main character, we're actually introduced to a journalist who's investigating her because she's become an author and she's set up a cult, and it's very Scientology-esque. So we're immediately thinking, okay, it's a Scientology analog, but instead of it being a Scientology analog, it's really almost a Lovecraftian, like a Lovecraft analog. Whereas if Lovecraft had survived, and instead of being like a horribly racist, misogynist bastard, was somebody who was very interested in helping humanity. But the problem with trying to help humanity fight against the forces of old and evil is that the forces of old and evil are very, very entrenched, and they are not going anywhere, and they will happily fight back.
Sounds to the really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And is it out in trade yet, or?
don't know. I was actually looking for it at Pete's earlier today. I went in and bought a bunch of trades. One of which you've got sitting right there. Because, yeah, if you haven't read Hexed, read Hexed. Because it's about the best thing.
It is amazing. This is the last volume in this volume. Hopefully there's another one.
Michael Allen Nelson, we really want you to come back and bring Dan Mora and just...
Dan Mora is amazing.
He doesn't do anything but Michael Allen Nelson stuff.
Well, he did Klaus.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh shit! Now I gotta go buy Klaus.
Good luck finding issue number 1 to 3.
Oh, well, again, I only buy trades. So. Okay.
It's not on trade yet. It just finished, I think it was last week.
Yeah, Nathan was talking about it. I hadn't realized it was Dan Mora.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's hot Santa Claus. Santa Claus,
Like Santa with muscles?
Oh, yeah. Santa is ripped and he's hot, and I would definitely want him climbing down my chimney.
Wow.
So
you've heard it here first, folks.
Yes. Dan Mora doing Santa Claus? Yes, yeah. I approve.
Yeah, because Hexed is... Yeah. We've covered Hexed before. And
last year, that was all we talked about.
Yeah, because it's that good.
Yeah.
So track them down.
Yeah.
And grab Fall of Cthulhu while you're at it. And also the Hex novel.
Yeah.
Which you were not so much a fan of, at least parts
of it. I liked it. It's just because I didn't read Fall of Cthulhu, it wasn't the same character to me.
Yeah.
Because it was a prequel to the comics. Mm-hmm. So I was expecting Lucifer to be kind of super yeah, I'm tough and badass, and she was kind of a whiny teenager, which fair enough.
A bit of both, really.
Yeah. Well, yeah, she's
the transition.
Pretty badass still, but it was just a very different character from what I was expecting. So
fair.
But I did really like it. It was a very interesting book, and I did like the ending because it was awesome to see how those two characters met. Spoilers, I guess, a little bit, but
it's definitely worth the read.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All 3 of those, and would recommend quite a lot because they are outstanding stories. And yeah, just a huge fan of Michael Allen Nelson. So let's see, Sombra, Clean Room. I'll do one more, I guess.
Which one's it gonna be? Valiant? Generation Zero?
I'm actually tempted to do Generation Zero because I really liked Generation Zero. And if Nathan was here, I'm sure we would talk Detective Comics.
Yeah.
Because, again, James, last name?
Tynan.
Has done a fantastic job with it. And he better not kill Tim Drake.
Oh, God, no. He won't. Tim Drake's his favorite.
Okay. But did you read it?
No. I read DC stuff in trades now.
Okay, that's fair.
Except for Red Hood, because...
Red Hood.
My babe.
Yeah. Fair.
And it's actually good this time around.
Oh my God,
so I am happy. Thank you, Scott Lobdell, for finally getting the character right.
Yeah, we talked about that in the Rebirth thing. We were like, yeah, Red Hood is...
Yeah.
It went from being the worst to one of the best.
It feels like Jason Todd again, and I'm so happy because he deserves a good book.
I'm actually going to talk Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
Ooh, a
the thing I'm looking at my phone for is because I do the God of Comics thing every week. So,
and then he sends me that list, and I'm just like, pictures. But we never have. Well, we do have a lot of stuff, but then you always have that one random one that we didn't order.
I have weird taste.
You do.
Very much demographic of one, which I need on a shirt. Just demographic of one.
You should.
Yeah.
The real 1%.
Really. The 0.000000001%.
The 1% on the opposite spectrum.
Yeah. Oh God.
Why is that stupid fire alarm going off again? It's a very loud day today outside.
I was gonna say because Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur number 10
hot?
is hot. Smoking.
Cool.
Because why not just woo woo?
Woo woo. I think she was going woo woo about Santa Claus.
Yeah, that's fair. The roof is not my son, but I will raise it.
What?
It's a Xavier Woods thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's from Angel Grove.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Out of the tag team champions in WWE, the New Day.
Yep. Wait, is that Pete? I think that's Pete because D doesn't normally do the little smiley face thingy. Are you gonna reply?
Maybe.
Are you gonna reply?
Well, we're like on a 10-second delay, so.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Woo woo.
Yeah.
I got you. I know. I read your stuff too much. I know your writing style.
That's fair. So Devil Dinosaur.
Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
So Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur is about the smartest person. It's been officially confirmed. Moon Girl is the smartest person in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
She is a African-American 10-year-old girl who is growing up in like the ass end of New York. So she is one of the victims of Every Child Left Behind, the American effort to destroy public education. And it's been highly successful. Like, if you want like a real horror story, go watch the documentary Waiting for Superman, because yeah.
Weird noises in the kitchen.
Things are happening. I have ghosts. I'm a necromancer.
Well, there you go.
So she's the smartest person, and she happens upon a Kree artifact.
Okay.
And everybody is making fun of her for the inventions that she comes up with, and she's just like, I just need to get through this stupid elementary school, and then I'll find like a better school to go to, which I remember doing as a kid, actually. And then there are no better schools. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Every school is the same.
Yeah.
They all have their problems.
Yeah.
It's like jobs. Every job's the same, except for Pete's.
They're the ones you create, I would say. Those are the best. So she's
give me a raise.
dealing with parents who don't understand her, a school that is so far beneath her. Like they're doing a big Lego thing. Like they've got like a Lego sponsored thing where it's build something cool with Lego, and she's like, I can build particle accelerators. I have built particle accelerator. No, she's got like a secret lab that she sneaks out at night to go to and work on her own projects, because her parents won't let her do anything.
Yeah.
Because they're like, we don't think that you should be working with this equipment. We don't really understand what this equipment is, but you'll hurt yourself. And she's like, I literally built it. Like it's so it gets across the idea of her frustrations and just how the world fails intelligence, how the system really denigrates and destroys intelligence. And so intelligence is her superpower, really, except it isn't, because she's just naturally smart.
Yeah.
But then she becomes an inhuman, and people think that her intelligence is her superpower.
Okay. Her
literal superpower. And she's just like, how do I explain that? No, I was smart before Teragenesis. Thrown into the mix is a guy named Kid Kree, who is a Kree. So there's the alien species, the Kree, and the Kree are technically responsible for the Inhumans. They took a bunch of humans and exposed them to the Teragenesis myths, and the idea was we're going to have our own like superpowered army, like disposable army that we'll be able to throw at people.
Yeah.
And the Inhumans rebelled and became their own thing, and the Kree are still bitter about it because the Kree are not good people at all.
Yeah.
So with this kid who just wants his father's respect and admiration, decides he's going to pop in and capture an Inhuman and bring the Inhuman back to his dad as a war trophy and be like, look what I did. But he's an idiot.
So he goes for Moon Girl.
He's going after Moon Girl, but he's, again, an idiot.
So she's outfoxing him.
Oh, at every turn. And he's set up like a disguise and goes to her school, and he's just the worst kind of stalker.
Oh my God.
And so they're dealing with so much in this really entertaining, really funny comic. And it's fantastic. And of course, you've got Devil Dinosaur roaming around in New York.
Yeah.
Which Devil Dinosaur is a giant, red, indestructible tyrannosaur.
Where did it come from?
The past.
Okay, it's just like
she accidentally got her hands on like a time machine, was experimenting with it, and ended up teleporting Devil Dinosaur to the present. And the two of them now have a link. Mm-hmm. So you want to know what her inhuman power is?
What is it?
She can swap bodies with Devil Dinosaur.
Oh.
So when that happens, Devil Dinosaur ends up in her body.
Oh no.
It's just like, ah! And it's so incredibly ridiculous and so funny. And like, I cannot recommend this comic enough. It's so weird.
Sounds pretty funny.
Like, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur go out to stop crime last issue, and Kid Kree attacks Moon Girl, like in the mid, like broad daylight kind of thing, because he's like, "No, I'm going to take you back to my father," and he destroys a train.
Oh dear.
And Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, with her intellect and his brawn, manage to save the train together. And then Miss Marvel shows up and is like, "You both need to stop. You both need to stop." He's like, "I'll come back for you." And Miss Marvel is just like, that was really dumb. By the way, here's a communicator. And a Moon Girl is like tongue-tied and tripping over herself and is like, "Oh my God, she's so cool and in control, and I'm such a mess." And because it's so good. Yeah, that Clean Girl and Sombra were my favorites definitely this week.
Awesome.
Yeah. Generation Zero is also really good. It's
Is it a new Valiant title?
It's a brand new Valiant title. It comes out of Harbinger. Okay, so one of the first comics that Valiant relaunched with was Harbinger, where they sort of set up their own version of mutants called Psiots. And it started off with this Psiot named Peter Stanchik, who was on the run and being chased by the government, but was one of the most powerful beings on the planet. And had no idea and no self-control, and was had done some relatively terrible things as a kid because he didn't understand his powers. So like, he understood that his dad was an alcoholic, not really, but he tried to get his dad to stop drinking using his power, and ended up killing his dad. Like that kind of stuff. So he's this deeply traumatized kid who's on like, has all the PTSD and is taking drugs, just whatever he can get his hands on, to suppress his powers. And the government is after him. There's a vile government program called Project Rising that's done all sorts of horrible shit. And we also get another group that's after him called the Harbinger Foundation, run by a man named Toyo Harada. And Toyo Harada is what would happen if you combined Professor X and Magneto.
Cool.
So he is a man who grew up in the wake of Hiroshima. And is the single most powerful Psiot on the planet. Like, the level of power he has pretty much makes him God. And he's working towards the betterment of all mankind, but he has a problem seeing the forest for the trees. So individuals sometimes get lost with him, but he's ultimately trying to make the best world for everybody, not just himself, but and you get that conflict that he has within himself, where he's wrestling with what the cost of that is. And then he brings Peter on board, and his idea is that he wants Peter to replace him, because Peter is the only person that actually has his level of power and can do so. And Toyo does realize that he is a mortal man. At some point he will die. Making matters worse, one of the oldest Psiots is this thing called the Bleeding Monk, who just sits and meditates and bleeds out of his wrists eternally, and sometimes shares visions with people in the future. And so he's seen a future wherein he and Peter Stanchik have destroyed the world with their conflicts. So he's trying to stop that from happening. And by trying to stop it from happening, he, of course, causes it.
Of course.
Peter ended up recruiting a group of Psiots. Harda's already got his group of Psiots. And the government, Project Rising, have kidnapped a bunch of kids, inflicted them with psiotic powers, and some of them they've vivisected to use in like their super soldier program, and other ones they're kind of raising so that they can vivisect them later. And Peter ends up rescuing a bunch,
Good.
and Harda ends up rescuing a bunch,
Good.
and then a bunch of them just end up running the hell away.
Right.
And then there was an alien invasion in Mexico, where they destroyed Mexico. And typically when there's an alien invasion in comics, it just kind of it happens, and then people forget about it and then move on. Not Valiant. The destruction of Mexico City has affected every comic that's come afterwards. That alien invasion has never been forgotten anywhere in the world, and it completely changed the way that world's politics work and how people regard super beings.
Yeah.
And a bunch of these kids managed to get away during that war. And they've gone underground, and they're very carefully, well, we don't want to have anything to do with the Harda's war.
Yeah.
We don't want anything to do with Peter Stanchek because he's not a good person, which Peter would actually be the first person to agree with. At present, he thought he killed Harada, and then he sunk to the bottom of the ocean, and is just like, I'm going to stay here until I die.
Okay.
Because I am not a good person. He found his childhood crush and made her love him.
Never.
And then, well, no, Harada actually called him out on it, and he fixed things, and she turned around and hated him. The two of them, like, he spent, I want to say, like, the rest of the comic trying to apologize and make it up to her, and she never forgave him. And you can't fault her at all, because what he did is so far beyond the pale wrong. And I love the complexity of these comics, clearly. So these kids are on the run, they're hiding, but they still want to do good. They still want to help the world. So they've decided that they're going to help millennials deal with their problems, the ones that adults don't really help with. So yeah, that's where that comic is going, and it's breathtakingly good. It's Fred Van Lent doing like really, really good writing and characterization. Really interesting characters. Again, that world is so complex and detailed and nuanced. Artwork is fantastic. Yeah, I just really like Valiant. Like when Valiant is good, Valiant is great. Yeah.
Cool.
And when they're not, they're usually smart enough to end it.
And then reboot and fix it.
Yeah. Or try to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what they do with Shadow Man going forward. Because Shadow Man was like their big failing. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the Shadow Man was not good. It started strong, and they were smart enough to realize it and try to fix it, and then realize they couldn't. And they were just like, okay, done.
Time to end this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's Generation Zero. Like, would recommend. It's fantastic. Makes a very, very close, like, fourth place on my list of comics this week.
Yeah.
And number 5 would be Detective Comics. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Nathan might do his own review. He said something about possibly doing a solo video, so maybe he will talk about it.
Yeah.
You should bug him. Tweet him at Nate Mays.
Yes.
And be like, I want your review.
Where are you? What's going on? Have you been kidnapped by ninjas?
Maybe. Maybe he went backstage and got lost.
It happens.
It's true. Hopefully it wasn't the aliens. Or maybe he just really had a lot of snot that he had to deal with.
That's fair. Although, if anything, I mean, I'd probably just compare him to Nightwing. I mean, he'd like that.
Yeah.
He sent us a picture with the Superman curl.
I know,
it was
it's
so
awesome. Good. We need to do a theme one time.
Yeah.
You can be Clark, you can be Bruce, and I'll be Diana.
Awesome. I'm in. Let's do
Wonder
it.
Woman. Except for I got like no muscles. Yeah. There's a little bump. I haven't worked out in a while. It's fine.
It's there. Anybody have any questions before we sign out?
Questions, comments? What did you guys get? What do you want us to review? We did Suicide Squad and Rebirth
Yeah.
last time,
last
like
week.
we said. Well, I didn't do it, but you guys did it.
We're gonna do Doctor Strange when that comes out.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm probably gonna do Metroid. So angry.
And Zelda.
Well,
Whenever that comes out.
Yeah. Well.
A long time.
Yeah. No. I'm gonna do Metroid because I'm angry enough to do Metroid.
Uh-oh. Watch out, Nintendo.
Well, it's not like I'm not a Nintendo fanboy. It's not like I'm not gonna get everything that they put out. And I totally understand why they did their latest thing. But, and again, I'll go into that in detail. Maybe tomorrow. I think I'm just gonna do it tomorrow. I'm gonna do a thing.
Sounds cool.
See if I can find my copy of Metroid 2 kicking around.
You actually have one? Wow.
Oh God, I am the biggest Metroid fanboy. I've got all of the games. The only one I was missing was Zero Mission, and I picked that up at a Retro Gaming Expo earlier this year. Because yeah, I really love the franchise, with the exception of Other M, which is a whole other video.
Yeah, not so good.
And not just not good. That one was awful. And talking about why, I could easily talk about why for going on an hour. It's I could do a 70-minute Star Wars video on Metroid Other M, like easily, just talking about everything that went wrong and whose fault it actually is. Because people blame Team Ninja, but Team Ninja just handled the graphics on that one. They had nothing to do with the game itself.
Yep. All right. Well, it doesn't look like there's any questions right now, so
like, comment, subscribe, and let us know if there is anything that you would like us to cover, because we will in depth.
Yep. And it doesn't have to be just comics. We can talk books, games, movies, TV shows.
We're thinking about doing a Witcher, the board game thing.
Yeah, we have to do that one time.
So
whenever we have free time.
Because I've got it sitting right there.
Yes. Cool. We had fun. Thanks.
Thanks
for watching.
Thanks for watching. Let your friends know.
Yes.
And
don't forget Saturday, 1 to 4, Nathan Fairburn signing Lake of Fire. Come down to Big Pete's, get your copy.
I plan to. Yeah. Because that's a good comic.
And it's like super long too. It's a massive size comic here. How many pages? 44.
Nice.
So it's like double almost the regular comic size.
Yeah, 22.
Yeah. And it's only $3.99.
That's totally worth it. Yeah.
Exactly. So come down for some alien butt kicking fun and talk to a cool guy.
Yeah. And at latest, we'll see you next week for the next rendition of Vancouver, or New Vancouver Talks Comics.
Vancouver. Yes, we are Vancouver.
We live in Vancouver.
Oh, well, yes.
Beautiful, scenic Vancouver.
We should do a Vancouver tourist video.
Oh, God.
Just going around doing all the touristy things.
I actually took some people on a haunted Vancouver tour.
Oh, that sounds like
a few years
fun.
ago. Yeah,
I want to do that.
Because we've got some spots.
Yeah, we do have a lot of spots.
Yep.
Cool.
Cool.
Alrighty. So thanks for watching.
Have a good night.
Yes.
And we will be back next week.
Next week. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.